Hello everybody, I'm Matt and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Imperial Issue 2 by Jonathan Hickman, Iban Coelho, Federico Vincentini, and Federico Blee. War breaks out in the Marvel cosmic realm this issue, and it's all thanks to a pair of shadowy individuals who are busy playing a cosmic chess game with everyone involved. A game where they have allowed the Wakandans to openly attack the gathered delegates from all over the galaxy. On the Kree-Skrull flagship in Wakandan space, Ronan the Accuser announces his quote-unquote judgment against Wakanda, given the secondary intelligence blessing, so Ronan unleashes on the Wakandans. It's been a while since I've actually seen Ronan out and about, and he's doing what he does best, delivering his judgment, and Hickman doesn't disappoint, making his appearance here in Wakanda seem like a big spectacle, as it's pretty much the opening salvo in this new galactic war. Elsewhere in the battle, Gladiator and Oracle survey Wakanda Prime's planetary shield and confirm that it's operating at full efficiency, meaning that if the fleet attacks it, it will only cause minor disruptions, not enough for them to slip through any ships. However, that's not really of any concern of Gladiator, as he has no intention of bringing his ships through. Instead, he waits for the shields to disrupt at the right time, and he drops the Imperial Super Guardians right through it, allowing them to bombard the planet below unhindered. One thing I love about Marvel Cosmic is how almost every hero who inhabits this realm is nigh a god. Like, they are all Superman level strong, have great costuming. I love Gladiator's costuming, and as well as his Super Guardians, I like how they all have similar sort of costumes, so they're like a team like the Avengers almost. And as well, they all have really cool names like Gladiator, like Imperial Super Guardians. That's just flat out badass, and something Hickman and his team clearly think of, as well as he uses them quite a fair bit throughout this entire issue. The team blast their way into the Wakandan bases below, demanding to know where the Black Panther is. Amongst the smoke and wreckage, the team soon spot him, but Gladiator knows that it's the wrong one, as it's revealed to just be Shuri, who is acting as a decoy while T'Challa remains on the vibranium moon of Wakanda Prime, where he watches the destruction Ronan and his fleet are wroughting. This is all part of T'Challa's plans though, as he waits for the enemy fleet to fall within range of their new experimental weapon systems on the moon. Shuri meanwhile is taken to Peter Quill's flagship, where she is to be interrogated, and this is something that worries Peter and Richard Rider quite a fair bit, as it means the Super Guardians are about to attempt some daring new attack, and they didn't want any prisoner of war on their ship or getting in the way. While it's not said, I also think this is kind of a sly way to keep Peter and Spartax involved, quote unquote, in the war, since Peter makes it clear that he doesn't want to bombard the planet, hence why he and his ships are hanging back. So sending him a POW and keeping them on his ship keeps him a part of the war effort, and is somewhat responsible in part to what is going on. Keeps his hands dirty, more or less. Peter and Richard decide to go see Shuri, accusing a Wakandan assassin in killing his father and several other delegates. Shuri knows that Wakanda does not deal in assassins, they do things in the light and without shame, which is something, while I don't know a whole lot about the modern workings of Wakanda and the whole like space empire stuff, I do know that multiple times we have seen that they have sleeper agents and spies and everything embedded across the galaxy. Now obviously this isn't Shuri's doing, this is more so T'Challa and his people's doing, but it's not really truthful to say that they don't deal in assassins when they very clearly do. Nova tells Shuri that there is evidence of the assassin, as back on the Wakandan moon, the new Wakandan's weapon comes into range and they open fire, emitting a kind of EMP blast that is enhanced by all of the vibranium inside the moon, causing over 60% of the attacking fleet from Ronan's side to fall dead in its tracks. Okay, so the Wakandans having a EMP Death Star hanging in orbit above their homeworld is so fucking cool. And yeah, of course they have one of those. It's the Wakandans, they've thought about that, and it's their, nuclear deterrent, as it were, for any invading fleet. T'Challa orders Wakanda Prime to launch all of their ships, intending to crush Ronan's fleet between the forces from the planet and the forces from the moon, not wanting to take any prisoners. Back on his flagship, Gladiator contacts Magistrix Xandra, finding her ship still has power. Gladiator wants Sandra to leave, but she refuses, wanting to help the powerless ships and evacuate some people. Gladiator refuses to let that happen, commanding Deathbird take over and steer the ship to the nearby Stargate and escape. Gladiator signs off by saying that he'll die with honor for Xandra, since it's what he was born for. I'm enjoying how much Gladiator has been in this issue and is kind of like the main character of the issue. He's one of my favorite cosmic Marvel heroes, and I like that Hickman is using him in an interesting way as a die-hard zealot, which we've seen before, and I always like it when it comes up with him. The escalation of all of this has been great too. Like last issue, it was all relatively calm, and all it took was one assassin's bullet, who might not have even been a Wakandan, to ruin everything and everyone immediately jumping into war, almost like they are all itching for one. And given recent things that have just happened in the world as I'm reviewing this issue, there's a little bit of meta commentary going on here. We've seen it happen time and time again, but just the timing on me reviewing this issue and then what's happening in the world right now is kind of an insane coincidence. T'Challa, meanwhile, leads his forces onto the Regelan man of war nearby, subduing the crew quickly so they can move on to the next ship. But the Panther comes across something he was not expecting: Hulks, as both Amadeus and Bruce are waiting for him. Back on Peter's ship, Shuri goes over all of the evidence collected from the Wakandan assassin, citing how money did indeed change hands, and that's not fraudulent, but the vibranium bullets used are fake. But they were enough to fool everyone else who wasn't looking for what she is looking for. She shows them the metallurgical signature that doesn't match Wakandan Prime or Earth's vibranium reserves, meaning that it's been fabricated, and while that is a very, very expensive procedure, it can be done even with just base elements. So I love this type of shit in sci-fi comics, just sci-fi mumbo-jumbo to explain away plot points. Hickman gets it, and he does it quite a fair bit throughout his comics, and it's just really fun, and it's just kind of one of those things that I love when they do in comic books, where they have like some sort of sci-fi explanation to what is happening. M'Baku meanwhile laments about how the gods won't hear the pleas of the people dying in the ships around them, since the gods know that man really worships conquest, marking religion as all but dead in the universe. Hickman drops a hell of a twist here, as the minister advisor who is with M'Baku actually turns out to be a Skrull, who shapeshifts and stabs and seemingly kills M'Baku, leaving him to bleed out as he tosses coins on the man's body, citing that this is the currency that they worship. The Skrulls reveal themselves across the ship, as it's revealed that with Hulkling dying and their queen missing, the Kree-Skrull alliance is no more, and the old ways will return. The Skrull leader gives his people the order to kill, all in the name of the queen, as Black Panther meanwhile battles the Hulks, refusing to let them stand in his way. T'Challa slashes Hulk across the arm, prompting the being to actually feel the blade, and in return he tosses Black Panther against the ship's bulkhead, slamming his fist into his head, telling Panther that he's there for revenge. The fight is interrupted by the Skrulls, who launch their hidden attack across all of the fleet's ships, killing any and all who stand in their way. I had a feeling the Skrulls would break bad again after so long riding that line and kind of being good guys a little bit, all thanks to like Hulkling and Wiccan kind of keeping them all together in a way. But I like that they've now just reverted back to being bad guys. I think Skrulls being bad guys is something that's kind of long overdue. But also, like every other faction in this war so far, this is all just on a knee-jerk reaction. Like, they aren't even really sure that Hulkling and Wiccan are actually dead, and they just assume that because their queen died, they did too, and immediately return to their base instincts of war. I guess as they look for a new leader, or a leader who is now more war-minded, has taken over and just kind of reverted them back to their old ways. It's honestly been pretty fun seeing just how easily manipulated a lot of these factions have been, and it's all born from the paranoia of each other. They don't know the secrets that each other holds, and that's why that whole Congress thing was happening with them all coming together. They wanted to share those secrets, but people like the Wakandans and the Skrulls didn't want to do that because they were so paranoid. Gladiator, meanwhile, doesn't have much trouble with any of the Skrulls, as his super guardians take them down rather easily, having a mentor contact Xandra's ship to see if they are safe. The ship has almost made it to the Stargate, but no one is responding, and on Peter's ship, he is taken hostage by one of the Skrulls, who calls for Shuri to stand down, but the warrior fires a series of beams at the Skrulls, knocking them all out with a nerve agent, which will allow them to interrogate the lead Skrull once he wakes up. The heroes begin to realize that none of this is just a coincidence, and someone is playing them against each other, and they need to find out who. Shuri knows to be sure they should consult the super intelligence, but one doesn't exist in this part of the universe anymore. But luckily, Nova is aware of one such intelligence. However, they don't have a ship to get there fast, thanks to the flagship being out of commission. Peter, on the other hand, though, knows that the Milano 3 is in the docking bay, and I get the feeling Peter was just waiting for the moment that this would happen, since the art makes it look like he's really excited to get back on the Milano and go be a space rogue again and not be a space king anymore. Xandra and Deathbird meanwhile face off against the horde of Skrulls, but they aren't alone as the Skrulls are attacked by Shi'ar hobgoblins, who are being led by the Super Guardians, intending on double-crossing Xandra and taking over her ship and rule. Gladiator continues to try and get through to his people and to Xandra as Peter and Nova speed towards the Stargate as well, finding that the Shi'ar Super Guardians have deployed soldiers onto the Stargate, their mission to blow it up and prevent anyone from leaving the sector. Peter pours on the speed in the Milano 3 as the gateway explodes in a blinding light, trapping Gladiator, the Skrulls, the Hulks, and the Wakandans together in space. It's not really made clear what happened, but I'm sure Peter and the others did manage to escape, especially because those guys are going to actually be in some tie-ins coming up real soon, and having them all trapped together wouldn't work for that. They need to be out in the galaxy doing adventures. But I think it's pretty cool that with one event, whomever is behind this has kind of trapped half of the galaxy's superpowers in one sector. And this is Hickman also kind of cutting the cast for his book a little bit as well, whereas before we had all these characters, like I mentioned, the Shi'ar, the Hulks, Wakandans, Skrulls, Super Guardians, Gladiator, all these characters, and now we've kind of effectively cut that in half. So now we're going to follow people over in the tie-ins, as well as what's going on in the main book in the next couple of issues. It's essentially left Hickman free to write only a select amount of characters, while others have been relegated to other writers in the tie-ins. We do get a final page with those guys still playing the chess game, and how the leader played a perfect game across the universe and has since won the chess game on the board, knocking down all of the pieces and saying he can't lose. And it's not outrightly said, but the guy is very clearly the Grand Master, which I think is going to be the big reveal in the next issue. We see his arms here, and he's got the blue skin, he's got the gold accents, the white gloves. It's totally Grand Master. I'd be surprised if it was anyone else. The opponent he's fighting, though, is very unclear, though, and I'm hoping Hickman does a big reveal soon here, since this is the part of the book I feel is the most underdeveloped. It's just Grandmaster going on about how he's the best ever, and we don't really move on from that. Like, nothing is given to us that explains exactly why he's doing this or what he's doing this for. What's his end game? Imperial issue 2 begun splitting up the massive cast this book has, readying it for the several tie-ins that are coming up. I've been liking the way Hickman has been slowly rolling out the mystery behind the Galactic War, focusing on the smaller character choices and moments rather than the big bombastic space war happening just outside the ship's porthole windows. The overall plot with the Grandmaster feels largely undeveloped though right now, and I'm looking forward to Hickman finally, having that other shoe drop and diving into that in the coming issues. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10.